In this video, I do a quick first impressions review of the Ikan MS Pro Beholder Gimbal Stabilizer, a great tool for getting cinematic footage with point and shoot cameras and mirrorless cameras. Coming up. Hey, what's up guys? Sean here with Think Media, bringing you the best tips and tools for building your influence with online video. And on this channel, we do tips and strategy videos, as well as tech gear reviews, just like this one. So if you're new here, consider subscribing. And hey, at any point during the video, check out show notes and links in the YouTube description below. We'll list out all the specs of the MS Pro, as well as any other of the details that are not covered in this video. Let's jump into the review. So Ikan sent me out an MS Pro to test out, and so far I've been very impressed with the results. Let's talk about the details of this gimbal stabilizer. So the MS Pro Beholder is a 3-axis gimbal meant for taking the shake out of footage and getting incredibly smooth and cinematic shots. And it's intended for really mirrorless cameras or anything below. It's rated for 1.98 pounds, so about 2 pounds of payload that it can hold. And so that will do a lot of mirrorless cameras with lenses, but you can also go down from there. So you could also use it for point and shoots, and you could even put a smartphone or a GoPro on the Beholder. On it, we find an OLED screen, which shows us our battery life, plus allows us to select the different modes. And so you could just click through from mode 1 to mode 2. Out of all the gimbals I've tested, it's one of the easiest gimbals to navigate through the modes. So that is a huge advantage. Another very thoughtful thing that they've included in the build here is side screw mounts, so you could put accessories on the side of the handle on either the left or the right, whether like an LED light or some sort of a microphone or something like that. And then you also have a thread on the bottom, so you could mount this on a tripod or on like a monopod if you wanted to extend this and get some really smooth shots from like an elevated perspective or get creative with that lower thread mount. Inside of the box, the gimbal comes in a great case that is nice for travel, easy to just throw in your bag, pack around, keep the gimbal safe, as well as all the accessories inside, including the batteries, the gimbal itself, charging cables, manuals, everything you need. And the gimbal has 4 different modes. You've got the lock mode, pan and follow, or 3-axis follow. And additionally, you also have auto inversion, which just simply means you can easily get to an inverted mode just like this to get low shots. So super easy, keeps it nice and smooth. And then there's also ways to accessorize this, and we'll throw up a photo right here to even build out a setup just like this to take advantage of that inverted setup as well. And one of the improvements of the MS Pro Beholder over some of the past models is now the battery life is rated for 8 to 10 hours, which is killer for like an entire day shoot of stable footage. And one of the things that actually took us a second to figure out is you have the 3 batteries that are just in the handle there, but the way you actually charge these is a tiny little plug right on the side of this. So actually if you have one of these or you're thinking about getting one, it's not actually the USB plugs on the side, but it's actually the one right on the batteries. Just a little tip. Now, as far as the build quality, you can definitely tell that this is a professional gimbal. All of the components are very impressive, a very good construction, and the handle is also very robust. A lot of gimbals have kind of a skinnier handle. What's nice is proportionally, it just feels very, very solid. Now, because the handle is a little bit bigger, if for some reason you had like very, very small hands, you might find that this handle is a little big if you've used other gimbals. But for me, I think it's pretty cool, and it's a great overall fit ergonomically. Additionally, you can also do 360 degree movement on the yaw axis. So as you can see here, the gimbal will do a full 360 spin because of the way they've built it, which is really cool. And then also when it comes to balancing the gimbal, after a try or two, it's pretty easy to get the balance all figured out. There's a quick release plate on there. You just mount that on your camera. And then there's little measurements so you can figure out where the perfect spot is for your camera. So once you have it dialed in once, you're pretty much good to go. But I would say that gimbals can actually be pretty complex and frustrating to get balanced and get working. And this one was pretty simple to get up and running and be getting smooth footage right out of the box. But what is the investment to get into the MS Pro Beholder? Well, at the time of shooting this video on Amazon, it came in at $599 here in the US. But of course, if you want to check out current prices, you can see the links in the description below. But as important as all of the specs are, what matters most is actually the results and the footage you can get, right? So here's a couple of test shots and some of the footage that we've been shooting recently. The first camera that we tested on the MS Pro was a Sony A6500 with the 10-18 lens. So the Sony camera comes in at about £1 for the body and the battery, and then that lens was another 225 grams, another ½ pound. So we were putting about £1.5 pounds on here, and we were out in Salt Lake City doing some test footage inside of the kind of downtown mall there, just kind of walking around, and the footage is pretty impressive. We tried to do a couple different like pans, try to do some walking, and just some different shots. And as you can see, it's amazing, right? This is like what's awesome about gimbals, is you get that cinematic, you know, if you wanted to create short films, if you want to tell really good stories, and you want to remove shake and be able to do shots that would in the past cost you 10, 20, you know, $30,000 for jibs, rigs, all kinds of expensive gear. It's amazing that you can get this kind of result in a camera like this. And so a lot of beautiful footage. Now, one of the things that we did try to do is push this to the max. And so Omar here, you know, was kind of running over some rocks in kind of the middle area. And we definitely, you could see here that impact of the gimbal was definitely causing some shake in the shot. But, you know, something to note is that that's not really what it's intended for. One of the keys is that you definitely, there's a level of finesse that always comes into using a gimbal. Sure, it's going to take a ton to shake out, but also there's the use of it. And what we've noticed is in the past, we've also tested out like Yi action cameras that are like completely weightless. And those are really good for super intense, you know, athletics. But if you start putting a lot of shake and a lot of running on it, you can still introduce, you know, shake into a gimbal like this. The second test we did was the Canon SL2 just with the kit lens. And so that camera comes in at, again, about £1 for the body, and the lens is about ½ pound. So that setup was right around about £1.5 pounds. And you can see the shots here. I'm actually training for a half marathon right now. So we're out kind of doing some marathon training, doing some running shots. And then we're kind of just messing around too on a penny board. And again, very smooth, very cinematic. It was super cool to see this footage once we got back to the studio here. And I think it looks pretty amazing. Of course, I would love to hear from you. How do you think this footage looks? How smooth do you think it looks? In the comment section below, let me know. And then besides some of those running and skateboard shots, we also just kind of were walking around on different terrain during this shoot day and getting some footage of other gear that we were testing out as well. And again, overall, it produces really great smooth results. And one thing to note was the technology in this camera. They updated the encoder, they updated the controller, and all that so that it's very fast and responsive, taking out shake and reacting to shake, right? Because that's how gimbals work. Shake goes in a certain reaction, the motors have to react to keep the camera steady. So it's cool to see that technology in action on this gimbal. And then the final test that we did here, just kind of really quick, was we put on the Sony RX100 Mark V. So now this camera is much lighter at about 0.66 pounds, so a little over ½ pound. And we pushed this to the max a little bit. Now this footage is a little bit overexposed, but you'll kind of get the idea about how smooth it is. We did a couple just walking pan shots and things on this terrain, but then we also put this to the test with some running shots. And I have to say that it turned out pretty good. Now those other lenses were, you know, wide angle lenses, so it's kind of gave you a little bit more grace for kind of being zoomed out, and that's usually what I like to shoot on a gimbal is wide angle lenses. But the RX100 V is cropped in, or you know, starts at 24 millimeters, so it's not super wide to begin with, but nevertheless, you know, you can see some of the results here. A little bit of shake, but keep in mind that when we're doing this, like that's all out running. That's me and Omar just like running, and still it does a pretty good job. So as far as my final thoughts go, I think that the MS Pro Beholder is a super solid gimbal. You know, it's very well made. Love the build quality, the way it feels. Love the different pan modes, how easy it is to get into the inverted mode, how easy it is to set up and balance the camera. And then ultimately the results that you get, you know, for cinematic footage, smooth footage. And I think that at $599 here in the US, It's a pretty reasonable price considering the build quality and the overall package that you're getting. Are there other budget gimbals on the market? Yes. You know, are there some decent ones? Absolutely. But at the end of the day, especially when it comes to gimbals, you get what you pay for. And I think that some of the budget ones I like to steer clear from because they either don't last or they don't have the best results. They have really mixed reviews. So I think that it's ultimately a good investment. And I would say that this is for, you know, people who are shooting event video. If you're doing video production and you want to level up your video production, this is going to be a lot easier to use and even to learn than maybe like a glide cam or something like that. And it's going to bring that production value to your work that could be very impressive, right? Weddings, you know, maybe in churches, or if you just want to be telling stories and creating, you know, cinematic content for clients or even for yourself. Definitely a tool that can do a ton of really cool things of creating great content. And I think, you know, even for vloggers, you can see a little shot here where we were just kind of messing around and Omar's kind of just holding it out as if you were vlogging from it. You know, there's no noise at all. You don't get any motor noise. So that's nice. If you throw a mic on there, it could definitely be a tool for vlogging if you wanted to carry something like that around. Question of the day. What do you think about the MS Pro Beholder from seeing some of the footage in this video? Let me know in the comments. And what kind of creative projects would you use a gimbal stabilizer like this for? I'd love to hear your ideas in the comments section. So thanks so much for checking out this video. Definitely subscribe for more videos just like this. Hit that like button if you got value out of this video. And if you haven't downloaded the Think Media TV Video Gear Buyer's Guide, it's actually a complete guide where I go through all my favorite gear for cameras, lighting, tripods, accessories for every budget. And you can actually grab that free in the YouTube description below, as well as on the YouTube card. Until next time, Think Media is bringing you the best tips and tools for building your influence with online video. Keep crushing it, and we will talk soon.